To the agenda? Going once, going twice. Okay, would everyone please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance? Norma, would you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If everyone make sure their phones are on vibrate, please. We don't want to. What's that?
I'll do that right now.
Thank you, Keith. Just 'cause, okay. Privilege of the floor, anybody? Okay then. Ms. Rowley?
Hi.
Hi, you're up.
All right.
Thank you for coming to our meeting to talk
Sure,
to
no
us.
problem. Just get my packets out
Over
here.
here, so she's on the camera.
That
was our first start.
Oh, I don't know.
I'll just
You
give
think we
one
should-
to everyone. I mean, I have
No, just the
plenty,
voice.
so
Mhm.
we'll just take and pass around. So, should I come around here? Just
Yeah, sure, we can.
can everyone see me? Then I can
Thank you.
still. Okay. Hi everyone. How are you doing tonight? Good to see you all. I'm Elizabeth Rowley. I am the Director of Development at the Community Foundation of Orange and Sullivan. I met with Bernie and Norma a couple of months ago now. I think it was in mid-June. We sat down and they shared with me a little bit about what's going on with the library here and what might be down the road a little bit for you all. So I'm really here tonight just to share some information about the Community Foundation of Orange and Sullivan and the types of services that we offer and possibly ways that we can assist you down the road. So I gave you all a packet of information. There's a lot of stuff in there, including my business card that has all my contact information on it. So if you have any questions afterwards, please don't hesitate to reach out. But essentially, the Community Foundation of Orange and Sullivan was established in 1999 here in Orange County, really as what we call a charitable savings bank. Now, what that really means is that individuals, families, nonprofits, businesses come to us to set up a charitable fund that serves a specific purpose. And it's a beautiful alternative to establishing a private foundation or a family foundation. So many of the folks that come to us have a particular mission in mind that they'd like to raise money for. One probably most popular type of fund is scholarship funds, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. That seems to really resonate with folks in our community because, of course, college is just very expensive. So when families and individuals come to us, they can have a fund up and running in as little as an hour, and really we do all the administrative back office work. And they essentially function as a 501c3 or nonprofit of their own, which really means that they can do fundraising and accept charitable contributions, possibly go out and seek grants, corporate sponsorships, all of those types of things. And again, it's all kind of under our 501c3 umbrella. So that's kind of one way that we work with individuals, but for nonprofits and groups like yours, we have what we call agency endowment funds, which the idea with these funds is that they're for long-term sustainability of an organization. So they're not so much a checking account, but more like a savings account where it's a way that organizations can put some money away over the long term and maybe take a small percentage each year to come back to their organizations to support what particular projects or special projects like a capital campaign or capital improvements, things like that. So just a little bit of background about community foundations. The model of the community foundations is not something that we came up with. It's been around for just over 100 years. The first one was established in Cleveland and now has about $570 million or so in charitable assets. We, of course, are much younger. Like I mentioned earlier, we've been around for about 15 years, and we have about 225 charitable funds under our management currently, which all in makes up just over $15 million in charitable assets. So some funds are on the smaller side, and then we have some other funds that have $1 million or so in them. So I think one of the reasons that that you all came to me and one of the benefits that we can maybe bring to your group is that we are positioned to accept gifts of all kinds. So particularly when you're talking about capital campaigns or special projects, there may be some other ways that you might be able to talk to donors about what they can give. So not just gifts of cash, which of course we love. We say cash is king, right? That's the ultimate best kind of donation. But there are certainly other ways that people can contribute to a charitable cause or a charitable fund at the Community Foundation. One great example is gifts of appreciated stock. This is something that has become very popular in the world of philanthropy. It's very advantageous from a tax standpoint, and it's a very simple way for people to give that may not impact their pocketbook in the same way, as writing a check out for $1,000. They may be able to make a gift of appreciated stock. So that's just one example. Certainly there's a number of ways that people can give, and there's a whole little booklet or pamphlet in your packet there that goes through it. But gifts of life insurance, you can actually name any one of the funds at the Community Foundation as the beneficiary of a life insurance policy, just like you can name a child or loved one. You can also designate IRA assets to a charitable cause at the Community Foundation. So there are, like I mentioned, a number of other ways that people can give, which might be something that you want to think about if you're doing some pretty serious fundraising down the road. So we assist with all of the back office administration. So what that really means, if depositing of any checks that come directly to us, if someone wants to make a gift of stock or some kind of other complicated charitable gift, I or other members of our staff would be happy to sit down and talk it out and kind of work on how to get to that point, and also provide all the instructions if they were to make that type of gift, give them the transfer instructions, kind of all the nuts and bolts of that piece as well. And we do, all of the monthly reconciliation. We would provide you with reports. We do all the acknowledgement of any donations that come into any of the funds at the Community Foundation. So that's another kind of service that is offered as part of having a fund at the Community Foundation. So we also have quite a bit of marketing support that we can offer, writing of press releases and promotion on social media and all of those other fun things that, just help kind of further get your word out. So those were, some of the things that we talked about when we met back in June. Again, these endowment funds that we manage, the idea is sort of long-term sustainability, which I'm sure you have all talked about and is part of your plan. But, while there's, a project to get completed and a building to potentially be built, I think that maybe part of that plan should also be, asking for some gifts that might support it down the road when, you need some, remodeling or, sprucing up or general upkeep of, the facility as well. So that's something that certainly an endowment fund would, could benefit in a great way. So before I go any further, does anyone have any questions? Okay, good.
You were talking about long range.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we would be looking at getting donations to reduce the debt, which isn't long term, it's short term.
Yeah.
Is that something that still falls in line with
Absolutely. So we do have a number of what we call project funds, which are more for a specific purpose, where you're raising money to get to a specific goal, and it's not so much endowment building, but again, the same type of supports are in place with types of gifts that we can accept and marketing support, but it would be a kind of a different type of fund. But that is something that we could help with if you need that. Now, I understand you have a friends group, right? Friends of, so if donations were kind of being funneled through, that nonprofit entity, we could certainly help partner with that group as well, or you all, I guess, as, also to, be able to accept all of these different types of gifts and help with the administration of it. If that's really what you need is kind of the bookkeeping admin services, that's certainly something we could, help with as well, just the kind of processing of donations and thank you letters and all of that stuff that comes along with those contributions. So the endowment piece too, and certainly for our project funds, one other option that we offer is all of our funds are invested in the market. So Hudson Valley Investment Advisors, which is right here in Goshen, and Bank of New York Mellon are our current investment managers. So these endowment funds and some of our project funds as well, and that's on a case-by-case basis because sometimes groups don't want to necessarily invest because of course there's risk involved with that as well. So that'd be something that we could certainly talk about, but the idea with the endowments is that they are invested, so they're growing over time while they're giving out grants and scholarships all along the way. So that's part of what we offer as well, if that's something you want to do, maybe again for the long term, maybe not so much for this particular project, but you know, if we're talking about, you know, raising the money and you know, counteracting the debt there, then that's definitely something we could assist with as well. But it would be a different type of fund, more of these project funds, and not so much an endowment, which is really for the long term. So there's a lot of information in the packet. Let me just, excuse me here, I'll just, one piece I just want to draw your attention here. On the left-hand side is our annual report. So this will give you a lot of really great information about our organization. The first half is kind of your typical annual report with financial information and the types of grants and scholarships that go out. You know, our board and committee lists, of course. And then the second half of this booklet is all of the funds that we currently manage. So all of the scholarships and memorial funds. Unfortunately, many people come to us in times of tragedy when they're looking to memorialize a family member or loved one. But we also have all these other different types of funds. So designated funds are really neat, and something that too, while you're doing your fundraising, you might want to just kind of have in your mix, as I like to say. Anyone can set up one of these funds. So if you have a donor, or any of you who are clearly dedicated, you're all, you know, members of the board, and you'd like to set up one of these designated funds, essentially what they do is they spin off grants back to whatever organization is named. So let's just say, you know, the Library and the Historical Society, and the idea with these funds is that forever there will be grants coming back to the library, you know, in a family's name or in one's name. So, you know, anyone can set those up for the benefit of any organization. So even if you're, you know, very passionate about the library, but also, you know, love the Humane Society or your church or your alma mater, whatever, you know, what have you, you can set these funds up to spin off those grants forever. Then there's donor advised, which is a little more loose and field of interest, but I always like to draw people's attention to this, because this is really sort of the most comprehensive piece that we have that talks about, you know, everything that we do at the Community Foundation. So that's in there as well. I should mention too our fee structure, which is on the right-hand side here. Couple pages back. I'm sorry, I'm ruffling through your folder here. So this fee schedule here just has our logo on the top. There's kind of two tiers here. So funds that are over $1 million are slightly tiered, of course, and then under $1 million are you know, just structured a little bit differently. So our administrative fee for you know, for all the back office support, processing of donations, the marketing assistance, all of those kinds of things, is 1 to 1.2% a year on the total fund balance, and it's 1% if you're in what we call growth mode, if money's just coming in and you're not necessarily taking any money out, and then it's 1.2% if you're taking money out or making grants or scholarships. And then the investment management fee is a blended fee with the HVIA and BNY Mellon fee, but it's about 76 basis points for the investment management services as well. So what I always say is it's just under 2% a year. All of those numbers in the jumbo equate to really just under 2% a year for all of those services. So any questions, comments, feedback, anything that I said to you guys in June that I'm forgetting and not mentioning tonight that
Just talk about the libraries that you work with currently.
Sure. So we have a fund for the Pine Bush Library, and Bernie, I think you spoke with their director.
The contact there, yeah.
Yes, and that actually came from a bequest, a woman in that area who left, you know, a portion of her estate to the library, and essentially that fund has, you know, been administered by the Community Foundation since that bequest came in, and it gives, again, those kind of ongoing grants back to the library for whatever, you know, their needs are on an annual basis. So that's another, you know, opportunity for gifts is, you know, talking to folks about their long-term planning and, you know, maybe leaving a bequest in their will or, you know, some type of asset in their will as well. So that's something that we do quite a bit of, work with a lot of attorneys and accountants and financial advisors who then in turn are advising their clients to kind of have a charitable component of their plans. So that's something else that really can, raise some substantial assets and, enable people to, make a real impact on the organizations that are, important to them during their lifetime. So that's certainly another piece of it as well. So we also in Sullivan County work with the Daniel Pierce Library, I believe it is, in Fallsburg or
Somewhere in Sullivan County.
somewhere up,
Another
somewhere in,
location.
I should know, but is it Fallsburg or Livingston, I can't remember exactly. But they have quite a substantial endowment fund. They've had a number of bequests that have been left to them. So that's really been a great benefit to them and has kind of eased their, their friends group fundraising demands every year. So that's another great benefit of an endowment, is it can kind of supplement the budget without having to, have a million events and do all these other little kind of appeals throughout the year. So
What's the minimum amount to start an endowment fund?
So the way that we're structured is we ask for about a $5,000 gift to start an endowment fund with the goal of growing to $25,000 within 5 years or so. Now there's no penalty for not reaching that goal, but that's sort of our formula for, again, being one of these endowment funds. And once you reach the $25,000, that's when we recommend you start, kind of taking grants back in the case of the library, or giving out scholarships and grants if you're an individual who set up one of these funds. So that's essentially the way it's structured. We're somewhat flexible on the startup amount. It really kind of depends on sort of what the plan is, with kind of ongoing fundraising and all of that. But that's basically the way it works.
And we can have two accounts, basically, lack of a better word, set up. One to address long term, for
Absolutely.
folks who want to leave, part of their estate to the library, and then one to address short term, to raise funds to help with the new building, to new furnishings that we've talked about, fundraising.
Absolutely.
So we can have two.
A number of the organizations that we work with have what we call like a sub-fund, so that would be designated for something in particular, like, long-term or a particular room, or, in the case we have worked with a historical society, so there's someone who left a bequest that was specifically for one room in one of their historical homes. So that's kind of a sub-fund of their main fund that, is spinning off these grants to support the organization as a whole. So that's certainly an option as well. And again, anyone can set up a fund for the benefit of any organization that they're passionate about, including the library. So that's also a great opportunity if someone is really interested in having their name on a fund and kind of being remembered in that way and creating a legacy of some sort. That's a great way to do so through one of these funds, because again, the idea is that it's, forever. So 100 years from now, when we're all gone, grants and scholarships will still be going out in the name of the fund. So
I think the first construction project, that since it fell apart, they actually had to give money back, but I think there was something about a amphitheater. I thought somebody had said that there was substantial donations towards the concept of an amphitheater,
I heard that.
and all that money had to be given back. If we start to collect money for something like that and put it into a sub-fund, and the building passes, that could still stay in the sub-fund long term, because
yes.
that would actually be something that's really phase two. But once, and in the case of the referendum passing, we could work with Paul to have a phase two construction that would include an amphitheater, and tap that money after the fact, so that it wouldn't actually impact the bond amount at all if we actually had enough money to cover something like that, or anything along those lines.
So the project fund you were talking about doesn't have to be a designated project, or does it just have to be for projects in general?
It can be for
short-term
project.
the-
Yeah, it can be for projects in general. I think the only stipulation would be if a donor gave you a gift that was specifically for something in particular. But
Right.
if you're fundraising for general efforts of the Library and Historical Society, then certainly it can be a very kind of broad purpose.
Okay.
So there's a lot of options, a lot of flexibility. We have a number of funds that have kind of changed their course over the years, and may have even changed the name. If, say, you start out calling it, the Goshen Library and Historical Society Fund, and then you have a major donor who gives you $5 million and you want to name it for them, you could absolutely do that. We can dream, right? So, so there's a lot of options, and again, a lot of flexibility with the community foundation. That's why it's also, a nice alternative to a foundation for individuals, is you're not kind of stuck with, as you filed with the IRS when you established the fund. Yes.
What is the advantage of going through the Friends if you can simply create a fund that is the Goshen Public Library and Historical Society and go directly?
Well, I guess that would be a question for, you all internally. I think if that's been kind of an active fundraising arm, then it might be helpful to involve that group. But I think if, certainly you could establish a fund on your own as well. I mean, there's a couple different ways you could do it. All right, good. Well, thanks for having me tonight. I hope this was, interesting and informative. And like I said, if you, have any questions as you let this all settle or talk more tonight, please don't hesitate to call or email. I'm always available for that. Okay.
I do have one question.
Oh, sure.
How quickly does the fund get set up? So
So-
if we call you on Monday, we have 10 grand, what do we do?
We could, we would draft, that's a good question, I didn't even talk about that. So we have a simple fund agreement that we would draft that would really just kind of state the, general criteria of the fund, of broad purpose or specific, the name of the fund, identify what we would call fund representatives, which are, those that kind of are privy to the information, which would probably be you, Matt, and as the president of the board. That's normally what we do. Those are the folks that sign off and then have, access to the account information. And we could get it up and running really very quickly. We do a lot of things electronically, and once, the agreement is agreeable on both sides, then you all would sign it, our CEO would sign it, and, you get a check over to us and it'd be up and running. So
In what, like a week, 2 weeks?
in like a day, really.
Oh,
It's
okay.
very quick.
Okay.
We can have a fund up and running, we say, in really an hour or, so
Oh, okay.
just depends on kind of getting that fund agreement, to a point that everyone's happy with it, so.
If someone wants to make a donation, but they don't know how to do the appreciated stock, or they don't know how, is there somebody in your organization that they could speak to directly?
Absolutely. It would likely be me, but we're a small staff of 4, and we sort of pride ourselves on all kind of being in the know about what's going on. And the gifts of appreciated stock, for instance, are just a simple 1-page transfer instruction that we all keep right at our fingertips. So you could call our office, we could email it over, or fax it over, and then it'd be kind of a simple process there. But certainly we're really available. I mean, I say a lot that I'm kind of here to be, the plan giving officer, the major gifts officer for, the nonprofits that we work with, particularly if you don't have, development staff or kind of that knowledge base. We're really here to help you, to assist with your fundraising efforts, again, to go on meetings, to give resources. We have a lot of, beautiful, like kind of boilerplate, information about types of gifts and bequest language and, marketing materials that you could easily customize, to your purposes too. So, we're definitely here to help. And I'm the director of development, so this is a lot of what I do is, talk to donors and give presentations. So certainly I'm a resource in that area.
I think the Pine Bush Library, if I remember talking to her, that it was a lot of land, a plot of land, that was going to be designated for library use, and then it wasn't. So then they decided the proceeds from the sale actually went into the funds.
Yes.
And then
Which-
they have it set up that they take out
Mhm.
just a small percentage every
Mhm.
year that comes to the library directly as a grant.
Yes.
And then I think they said they didn't even tap it the past 1 or maybe even 2 years because they didn't really need it for anything.
Many of the nonprofits that we work with, it's kind of an annual decision where they look at the budget and see maybe where they may or may not need money, and certainly if there's years that are you're doing really well and you don't necessarily need to take from the fund, that's always an option, and it just kind of keeps growing over time. And gifts of real estate too, you bring up a good point. That's something else that we can assist with. We have a couple of donors we're working with now, who have homes and land and different things that they might not necessarily have someone to pass it on to. So that's something that, we can work with as well. So there's a lot of different ways that people can give, which I think is one of the greatest resources and things that we bring to your group is that we can sort of expand the types of gifts that you can accept, which, you know, ultimately will help you raise more money. All right, good. Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a good meeting, and hopefully I'll be talking to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
So just wait for Matt to get back before we move on. Are there any committee reports for this evening? I don't think so, right? Weren't we just meeting for this? Pretty much. And the fiscal advisor's contract? How's the Sunshine Committee doing, Jim?
Cloudy.
It's cloudy. Gonna hit us up for money
Yeah,
soon?
we could use some money, but it doesn't have to be tonight. It could be next
Okay,
time.
so we can just set it up for the next actual meeting.
$20, I guess.
$20 a piece, okay.
Well, we should talk a little bit about Sunday and
Sure.
what we are going to be doing to be ready for this presentation.
Yeah, have like have a pep
Worth of a
pep
new
rally
library
Saturday?
building.
to get together on Sunday.
Will the you have to feed people? Will the Friends be doing the donuts and cider? again?
Friends are doing the refreshments. The junior friends are going to serve the refreshments,
Okay.
and a number of them I think are going to try to attend because they want to find out more about the library. The friends, those of you that were not at the trivia night, it was really a fun evening. It's a great place. We're going to do it again there, but not until we decided March is really a better time of year to do it. September is very, very busy. So we're not going to do this coming March because it's so soon. So the following March of 17. We've already booked the run.
Yeah, that good a time, good.
Yeah.
And
And the final figures on the amount of money that was raised have not been computed, but it's in the ballpark of about $1,800. So
Nice.
worked
Say
out
that
well.
again.
1,800.
In the
18,
ballpark.
around 1800.
Ballpark, it's not.
Mhm.
Well, thank you, Jim.
So about Sunday.
About Sunday, there's
We-
nothing to really get ready
begin-
for.
We begin at 2:00.
We have
we
the
begin
room
a
from 1 to
presentation.
5, and the presentation starts at 2.
And
I intended to open it up with a brief synopsis of where we started and how we ended up where we are, and then turn the mic over to Paul. And he'll do his presentation with the new building, what he's bringing to the table, and then we'll have a question and answer section. I don't really know what else there is to do.
Who's
Talk about
who's
money?
fielding the questions and answers?
I would think it depends on the questions, because if it's about the building, it would be Paul. If it's about the financial stuff, it would be one of us. You
So,
know?
what are we saying about money?
Well, we're going to say whatever the amount of money it is we get from the fiscal advisors. What did
But,
they say was?
what about the terms of the loan, or the bond?
What
Do we
about it?
know at this point? We do
I thought we
25
agreed on
years?
30 years.
30.
Yeah, I thought we agreed on 30 because
Okay,
it had
so
a
that's
lower
the figure
impact.
we can give them
Yeah,
for
a 30-year bond. We're talking
100,000.
100
assessment.
years ago we built a library. So we're going to build a library now.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
when are we going to build another one? Another 100 years from now? I think we can manage a 30-year loan.
As
Yeah.
far as the we're going with the 4% because we've been advised that that's the safe number. Is that why, rather than 3 or 3.5?
What, you mean from the fiscal advisors
Yeah.
for the amount? I guess so, yeah. Yeah.
In other words, they don't expect it to be any more than that. It could well be less.
It could be,
I would
but
think,
right,
yeah.
Conservatively we're
Right.
going with the 4.
And we're going to use the average. I'm
The assessed
asking,
value.
I'm not trying to
Okay.
assert. Are we going to use the average assessed value in the town of Goshen as our example?
Yes, because I expect
Great.
the majority of the people who are going to come up to this thing on Sunday will be from Goshen.
Do
And
we-
the rest of the information, we've already got it set up so that at 4 o'clock on Sunday, the page on our website goes live with all the other information.
Do we have the average assessed value of a house in the town of Goshen?
No, but it's easy enough to get because they publish the assessed rolls on the assessor's office on their website, so I can
So-
easily go to it.
So you're,
You were gonna try.
I called Friday. They were supposed to get back to me today, and I just realized they hadn't. So I'll have to call tomorrow. and
Right,
see.
so
I know that there's
In other words,
short
it might
stay.
end up being something like 268 or
Mhm.
something like that.
Right.
And then we'll take
Hmm.
whatever that is and multiply it out on the,
I think we give them two numbers. The baseline is 100,000
Right.
assessed value.
yeah,
Right, because that's straight up easy math. So if your house is 100,000, you will pay this. If it's 200,000, you will pay twice that much. And then the
Right.
average home in Goshen is this, and their bill, and like for instance, the average home is whatever, and that would be what their bill would be.
okay.
So
And-
the number you came up with of 308,
I got that from the.
that
Oh,
was
no.
for the village?
That was for the
Just-
village.
Okay.
Yeah, because I wanted to get the information
Yeah,
from the
that's-
tax assessor. I don't know why I'm pointing at you. You don't have it, but I saw a chart. There you go. It's a
Yeah,
chart.
anyway.
But the village, the town assessor's office has a list of all of the properties, their assessed values, their market values, their school district taxes, who gets star exemptions. All of it is available from their website. So it should be easy enough to get the average from them.
You know, if you look at how they're, that one PDF they put out there,
Yeah.
and there's the 25,400 reduction. Anybody know what that's about?
What are you talking about? The 25.
If you look on how they calculate the amount for the school tax, for many people, there's a reduction of $25,400.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's for veterans, probably?
No,
No, the veterans are different
I
as
get
well,
it,
yeah.
and probably everybody
Oh,
here
is that the
gets it.
star thing?
There's a
Yeah,
star thing.
well, there's different star designations.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is for us as
Mm-hmm.
family, not yet a senior citizen. Maybe I think it's more for a senior citizen.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it is more. I don't know what it is, but for the average homeowner, it seems to be applied in most cases. I just don't know how that could be discussed. I mean, because we don't know actually
Well, I don't.
the background on it.
I don't know why
but
it
it
would
does
need to be
affect.
discussed, because what would happen is you are paying your taxes based on the assessed value of your house for school district taxes. So that's what people pay on their library tax, so I'm assuming that is how they would calculate this tax. So even if after all of those subtractions are done, for whatever reason that 25,000 comes off, it
Well-
would still come up with the number that they're being taxed on.
Our number is worst case, and then there's
Right.
this, whatever it's called, reduction that makes
Right.
it
No, I understand
a
that,
bit
but
nicer on the
right,
tax
but if people pay taxes, they know what the assessed value on their house is. When they get the tax bill, they know the assessed value on their house, and that's
Oh,
what you pay, right? So
yes.
that stuff would all be factored into the assessed value, is my point. So they would calculate what they owe for the library based on the assessed value, which would be the total after that 25,000 is subtracted, whatever it is to whoever it is applied.
So yeah, I have to look back at that document, but I thought they did the calculation, and this is the total amount.
Mm-hmm.
But then they reduce it,
Yeah.
so it's actually less than
Right, but
the
whatever.
straight assessment
It
value
says in the
times-
assessment value for the school district is one price, because I have, for the town I pay at one rate, for the school
Yeah,
district
yeah.
I pay at a different.
Indeed.
Right, and to pay the library taxes with the school district's rate,
Mhm. Yeah.
so, however they calculate it is almost irrelevant and really not part of our discussion, I don't think.
I don't think we should even bring it up.
No, I think
gonna
it's just
confuse
confuse
everyone.
people. People will figure out, what is my school district assessed value of my house? That's what you're paying library taxes on, that's what you would pay for this loan.
Yeah, they'll be able to, I mean, they just came out.
Yeah, right, and people will get
So
this
they should look at
information, right.
For
So
people who-
Okay, I
yeah,
just-
no,
I just
I
thought-
think that you need to call the
I
assessor and
just
ask
thought
that question.
if you yeah, right.
Yeah.
If you use the percentage as they provided here on the full assessed value to come up with a figure, it's not actually that figure. It's
No,
less.
well, the assessed
Yeah.
value on my house is one thing. My husband is a combat veteran,
Right.
so I get the discount for the veteran. The school
Yeah, I
district
know.
actually charges us more.
It
So when I
varies.
pay the taxes for the town, it's at this rate, but when I pay the taxes for the school district, it's at this rate, but the assessed value of my house is over here. It's 3 different numbers.
Mhm.
But when you pay the library tax and you pay for this, it'll be at the school district assessed rate for your house. So that's the only number you need to look up in order to calculate how much this project will cost you. Am I wrong about that?
You might be, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's
Would
the
it
worst
be
case.
helpful, would it be helpful to have,
I thought our financial
Uh,
guy could look into it.
well, we need to, the main questions I think that we're gonna get is how much is this gonna cost me?
Right.
You know, what
Right.
is, and, would it be helpful to have a, I hate to use the word slide, cause that's old fashioned,
A visual?
A visual, thank you. You know, if your house is worth, is assessed value, is this,
Mm-hmm.
then this is what, you know,
Right.
and then, you know, like Washingtonville did it, I mean, I love the fact that they did it, it's 15 cents to 22 cents a day. I mean, that's like breaking it down, way down for
Yeah,
people.
so I don't know how they
So-
did that.
Alan advised against that.
Yeah, that
Really?
doesn't, yes,
Yeah.
because
Wow.
that's not typical and that's not everyone.
Right.
15 cents a day
But-
on your house if it's this much, and 80 cents a day on your house
Huh.
if it's
Right.
this much. I think because this is what's going to
Mhm.
calculate the cost for you is your assessed value of your house as far as the school district is concerned. So that's the number you need to know. So if we tell people what's at $44 for 100,000 for your assessed value from the school district, you look that up. Oh, my house is 150,000 according to the school district. I'm going to pay $66 a year for this library.
Yes, but we can do a sales job here. You could break it down by 12 months and say that's only $7.86 a month for the
Right.
average home.
Well, yeah, we could do
it's
that.
part
right.
of it's part of the
No, I get it.
presentation.
But we don't want to get too. If you put too many numbers out there, you sound like you're trying to pull something over people's eyes.
Understand that, but
Right.
I think
So
that
I think
number could
keeping
be
it-
used.
Right, but I think
Per
doing the
month.
100,000 and then grabbing the average price of the average assessed value of a house in Goshen. And for instance, the average house in Goshen is X. Your amount will be X or Y, whatever.
Per
That's do
year,
it that way.
and it equates to $8.52
Right. Well, right.
a month.
Exactly. I see what you're saying.
The other, the two of the problems, I mean, the two of the issues with telling them how much per month or how much per day is people don't pay their taxes that way.
No.
The people that pay
once.
their taxes, they
Understand.
only pay it once a year
Understand,
anyway.
but what
Yeah.
are they getting per month for that money?
Right, but when
And-
you're
and
talking
how much
about right, when you're saying
less
it's
it
less than a
is.
cup of coffee, that kind of
Yeah.
nonsense, yeah. I get it. I get what you're going for.
But it is
Yeah,
going
no,
to
it's
be a sales job.
well, you know what? It's also I think the I don't think it's going to be as big a sales job as you think. I think part of the problem we're having with this amount is that we were given an incorrect, much lower amount first, and we all got excited about it. So now we think this is a bad number, but it's
No.
not.
No, I wish we had the last go rounds.
Yeah, it
Number.
would be nice, but we don't. So
I don't
We
think we
don't
should
have
throw
that.
those numbers at anybody. I mean, like, it's nice for us to discuss, and I think we can talk about it in terms of like roughly $20 million. We are at 9.3, but I think if we bring too much of the last one in, I think it's just, I think
Oh,
it's
the last vote.
the
Oh,
last
wow.
vote. Yeah, I don't think we should.
No,
talk
aside from
anything.
No, I'm
mentioning that
just,
it failed and our problem still didn't go away, I don't see
Yeah.
any reason to bring it up.
It's
Yeah.
a,
But I
a
expect,
retort to
well,
comment that
exactly,
might
but
be
I
made.
also expect that there will be, less than friendly people in the crowd, and we need to be able to field their questions, and I have no qualms about that. I just, expect it.
We'd have no qualms about anything.
no, we don't.
So do we have,
Calm.
at this point, the answer to the question, what will the average house in the town of Goshen pay?
No, we
Yeah.
don't have that.
We don't have that, we don't
We
know
have
the
the
average
village,
house
Just the village.
assessed value. So for the village, I think it was $308,000 was the average assessed value. So
But
that
that
would
still
be-
doesn't give us, the 308 doesn't give us the amount they're gonna pay.
No,
Just-
that gives us the
it
assessed
does.
value, and if it's $44 times 308,
So what is the rate for the village?
it's the same as
It
the
just
town.
says Goshen, doesn't say town, doesn't say
It doesn't
village.
they don't separate it, it's the school district.
They're
So then it doesn't matter. Oh, well,
They're actually the same, I think it's like, yeah,
Yeah, it is the same percentage.
it's the same
but
percentage,
I
yeah.
don't know if houses are more in the town than the village. Maybe there's a lot of
You
new
pay different, you
developments.
pay, well, the houses in the village are more expensive. So you would.
Oh, they
spend-
are?
Some of them, yeah.
No,
I
no, I
don't
know
know.
some, of course, but on average.
What is this number, the 176?
That is, well, okay, don't take that at face value, because I use the reduction of 25,400. No, we could just apply the percentage that's used, the percentage that's used for 30 years to 308, 182,
So,
to come up with how much the average homeowner in the village would pay.
No, well, $308,000 at $44 per 100,000. Am I figuring this out correctly? So it's $308,000 for the house, right?
Well, no, go to 30 years. You're at 44, 40 is
44,
25,
Oh, what's 30 years?
4119.
4119. Okay, so $308,000 divided by 100, multiplied by 41. What? 18?
19.
19. Okay, I'm off by a penny, but it's $126.83
For what?
a year
For what?
for a $308,000 house,
We're not-
Assessed?
assessed at
all right,
$308,000.
but we have to find out what the average assessment is. We don't, it's
Right,
probably
that's what
not.
we've been saying. Right.
Oh,
So when
that's
is
about 180 or so.
the average
The
assessment?
assessed value is 180.
Yeah. It's what, 65.5%. Is it not? It is, right?
Let's say it's 200 just for ballpark. It's
No,
gonna
no,
be
no.
around $80, $90 between
Yeah,
$80
it
and
doesn't
$90.
we-
4118, 19. What did you say? 4119.
4119.
Okay, so for $180,000, it's $74.14. Seriously, you blow more than that going out to dinner.
All right, but we have to have these numbers.
Am I
We can't
wrong?
be fumbling around. We
You
have
go
to
to
say,
Kelly Jean's, it costs
we
you
have
that
to
much.
say the average assessed value is,
Right.
and that computes to.
Right, well, that's what I'm saying. So then
Okay,
for
so
people
who-
who don't have an average house, we
Right.
tell them the $100,000 thing.
Right.
Right.
So
I mean, we
who's
can't.
gonna
we-
have to get that?
I'll get
we
that
get
tomorrow,
that
make sure
figure
we
and
get
then,
Right.
And I'll send
because
it
we
out.
have to be able to, and we can put it as a
This
visual.
should be in the
Sure. Right, I'm putting this slide.
trifold, or at least in a visual that we have
Mhm.
presented.
What do we have for handouts? Do we have anything that's firm, like set going to the printers yet? Or, I mean, we're still
Yeah,
trying to
we're-
find out these numbers. Are we gonna hand those out at the meeting, do you think?
Well, I thought they were,
At
these
the
numbers
end,
gonna
if we're
be,
gonna
some
do
of these
anything.
numbers were gonna be in the trifold, no? We're
Now,
gonna
where's the, what's happening with the
Okay.
trifold?
And I don't think that should be handed out until after the presentation because people are going to be busy reading that and
Yeah.
not paying attention. You can have that on your way out the door.
Mhm.
And
But do we have it ready?
we have almost everything you said,
Yeah.
correct? We have
As
almost
far as I
everything
know, it's-
ready. We
yeah,
just
they
need to
just
plug
need
in
us-
those numbers. And
the
I think we
trifold
will.
is not printed yet.
It's not,
No,
yeah.
but
And
the
it-
contents is
it
ready
laid
and up to
out?
date, correct?
It's laid out, we have,
You got Megan, Paul and Megan's stuff I sent you
I
guys
did,
there?
yeah.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
So if we have the
Double-sided.
trifold and the numbers in.
Do you mind if we interrupt the meeting for a question? I mean, we usually don't.
Or do you
It's-
wanna wait till the end?
Well, anybody mind? Are you okay with
No.
this? Go ahead.
I was just wondering if, I know that the tax thing is number one issue, but has anybody sat down and identified what we believe the key questions and challenges will be, and the answers to those,
Yeah.
and who will field those various questions?
Yes, and that's what's in that
The
trifold thing that we're not
trifold
gonna
flyer
hand out
is
until
a-
the end.
It's a QA thing.
Okay,
We've got
Yeah.
like 8 or 9 or 10 key questions that we're gonna get.
okay,
Right.
Yeah.
But we
No, I
spent
figured
a lot
that
of
out
time
before.
on that.
okay.
Yes.
Maybe we should introduce
Yeah.
Mr.
Bill
Troy?
Troy.
Oh.
Bill is one of the leaders in the Friends, and he actually was the key person with his wife Mary on the trivia night.
I did the scoreboard.
Oh, that's right.
He also did this, he got the scoreboard for us, figured
There you
that out. And he's a new colleague of Bernie on the
On the RCLS board,
you're on
right?
the RCLS board.
The more friends there for us, the better.
And he's a mover and shaker in general.
He's a mover. and shaker.
He's kind of a big deal, is
He's
that what you're
he's an
saying?
asset.
Kind of a big mouth.
They-
That's what Mary said.
Okay. So, yes, we have gone through a question and answer thing to clarify everything. And the day of, on Sunday at 4 o'clock, our web page is going, on our website, the page is gonna go live with all of those questions and answers. And hopefully we will have this trifold brochure that also has the questions and answers on it that we can hand out to people as they leave the meeting.
The questions that are asked that have to do with the kinds of things on the trifold,
Mhm.
you're gonna respond to those?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of expected that it would mostly be Paul and me answering questions, and anywhere that I stumbled, feel free to jump in. But I
Okay.
figured Matt or
Right.
you know who also knew
Right.
the information could answer it if I
Right.
get stuck on a number or something.
I also
But
want-
the fewer people I think engaging, the better.
Right.
And
Okay.
yeah, right. You don't want too many people shouting in from all over the place. Then
Right.
we lose control of the meeting.
Right. You don't wanna, that's not quite right.
Yeah. None of that. None of that.
Do we need
Just
to-
go with it. Just
we
go
can
with
plant
it.
some, plant some good questions in
There
the
you go. You
audience.
get your
Yeah.
husband out there to go.
Yeah.
Excuse me
Yeah,
about the parking spots.
I had a
Is it true it's
conversation.
the most beautiful library in town?
That's
yeah.
right. I hear it's already up for awards, even though it hasn't been built. Yeah.
Just bear in mind, there's been a bunch of questions bandied about online, as you all know. And I don't
Yeah.
think all those people are going to come out, but
No, they're not.
but Michelle, who's a helpful worrier, was
Yeah,
saying you
God
might
bless
just
her.
want to arm yourself with some answers to some of those major, the bigger
Yeah.
questions.
The ones that keep coming up
Right,
over
that
and
you
over.
see, because
yeah.
it's almost you get a good sense of what
Yeah.
people are, and that's, some of the stuff was not addressed in our original trifold. So
And
even if it's
that's
not
fine.
in the trifold, if we at least have some answers at the ready so that you don't
Right.
stumble when you're asked why you don't take the post office and stick it together with the library or whatever, you should have some
Right.
thoughts.
Well, I also think that this is also the beginning of the process. So we would have the lion's share of the information out, but I think it's an evolving thing. If
Mhm.
we keep getting the same question over and over again, it would make sense to just answer it and put that up online and add it to whatever newsletter we're sending out or
Right,
whatever
right.
else. But I think having basic questions that we know we're going to be asked and having the answers to those available as soon as possible is the best way to go.
Do we know, as somebody had posted on Facebook, how much other municipalities are paying for their library in their budget?
We did have that,
It's
and it
easy to
was
get.
we have access to that, and we did have actual numbers. Somebody who did the guy who answered that question on Facebook actually got it right.
Oh, so we got confirmation on that.
Yes, because we did look that
Because-
up, didn't we? Yeah, we did look that up.
Okay,
And it
and
was
it's,
pretty
and
cheap.
it's
yeah.
in our favor.
Oh, it is. Yeah, we look great. We look
But
really good.
Is it not good to have that there?
It is, but I think
in
I
case
don't-
somebody brings it up or,
right.
or the value.
There's certain information. Yeah, if people ask, we tell them.
Yeah,
But we
I
don't.
know,
I
so-
don't think volunteering
No.
those sorts of information is actually in our benefit because
No.
then you create confusion. Yes, Carol.
I'm sorry to back up, but was there a number established per 100,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was $41.19. Yes, because we agreed on the, and that's the worst case scenario. That's not even a definite because the interest rate might be lower. But
Yeah.
that's based on a 4% interest rate, which is the conservative assumption, correct? Am I getting that right? And a 30-year. Well, you're looking at me
You're
like
getting
I.
that right,
Okay,
yes.
all right. You're looking at me like I don't know what I'm talking
No,
about.
no.
You know what? I'm not
You
going to
see
look
that
at
in my
you on
face.
Sunday. That's it. I'm going to look over
And
this
that's the
way.
town of Goshen.
That's town of Goshen, right?
What?
Village.
The village.
Village.
Village and town, same
Yeah,
thing.
village and
The
town.
Oh,
village is
oh,
included
oh.
in the town.
The village is
Yes,
included
it's
in
for
the
town,
town.
Town
Yes.
including the village, yes.
Yes.
The village is part of the town. People
We didn't
forget
forget
that.
about
They think
the
they're
village.
two separate
People,
entities.
people,
Yeah, some
people in the
people-
village will ask that, yes.
They
When
will.
it comes to,
We have to
everybody who
keep
lives in the
remembering
village
that.
is also a resident of the town.
Right, but a lot of people forget that. And then, well, what about the village? Well, I said the town. That means
You're
everybody.
part of the town.
Yes, you're part of the town, whether you like it or not.
And these numbers from fiscal advisors, these are the final.
These are the final. She did it twice for us, and these are the final numbers. So that's what we're going with, right? 41, whatever. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about?
I'm just wondering is it okay if I share some of the info, like the frequently asked question, before we publish it with Bill, since he's working on a campaign, or is that not
what,
so good?
What are you talking about exactly?
Like the frequently asked
trifold.
questions, the
The
trifold.
trifold,
Right.
Like,
yeah.
is it okay if I share it with Bill?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Okay,
Right.
Yeah.
We just don't want any of it out in the wild until after Sunday.
Right.
That's really it.
of course, yeah.
You know, I mean, it's close enough that it's not fatal if it gets out, but it's just, you know what I mean? We just,
Okay.
when we could just have
Yeah.
as much
Did
control
you,
over the
did you
situations we
include
can.
the changes that Paul and Megan had suggested in your, whatever you sent off to Alan?
Yes, I sent the same, yeah.
Okay.
I took that email and forwarded it to him,
Okay.
yeah.
Has
Okay.
he sent back?
He hasn't yet.
Okay.
Yes, Carol?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to take notes and all. Does anyone know what the number is that we currently pay per 100,000 for our budget?
I thought it was 96
That's
cents,
the one I can
97 cents or something. No, it wasn't per 100,000. What was it? I don't remember what that was. No, we don't know.
Did
Not
I
off the top of my
frame
head.
that question well?
You did. That was
Did-
good,
okay.
Carol. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that number
Because
is.
I think that one of the questions that comes
Oh.
up is, what can I expect to pay, on top of my,
On
my
top of
bill
what I'm
now.
paying now.
you know,
Yeah.
so if I'm paying $100
Uh,
in library taxes now, I can expect to be adding,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know,
Right.
this to it. But
Yeah.
I just wondered,
I-
per 100,000,
What we're
our
paying
current
now.
bill is.
Okay.
I thought it was very close
Mm-hmm.
what we would be paying
Mm-hmm.
to what we have been paying.
Oh, I don't think so because
No.
the servicing the debt for a year was, what was the amount for the debt?
500, 600,000.
Right, so it's like,
About
it's
half.
like a third, it's like a little, it's like 40% of what the total budget is. So it
It's
would be,
something,
right.
and
so yeah, so that wouldn't be the same.
We're probably,
So we can expect the
Mm.
taxes to go from 100% to 140%?
Something like that, yeah.
Similar.
No, you
It
can't
works
say
in my head,
something
thank
like that.
You can't, I don't think that's accurate, but
Give
it's
somebody a
not
heart attack.
wrong. Yeah, right, 140%, you're not gonna say that.
No, but
Yeah, I know.
Well,
I pay
okay.
taxes.
it'll go up.
Well, I mean,
No, I know you do, but it'll,
you know, you can get a ballpark. You can look at your current, the 2015 tax bill,
mhm,
and knowing what this will be,
yeah.
you could see.
You can see what your bill's
Yeah.
gonna be.
I-
So let them figure that out for themselves. Yeah, just tell somebody we're gonna raise your taxes 140%.
We're just
I'm
explaining.
gonna raise it 40%.
40%.
We're just
right.
explaining the percentage of the total school tax.
Yeah, yeah.
It
Oh, well,
was
see, that's the other
minuscule.
thing. Our entire budget is what the school spends on custodial services. Go
All right.
ahead, look at their line items. It's
That-
what they spend on their custodial service. Just putting it
Good
out there.
Oh, I
point
love
to
that. Thank
say.
you for that
Mm.
You're
information.
welcome.
That's it. It's good.
I do. I bring this up,
Good
and
comparison.
the fact that the English scores. What did you say? We're on a par with Port Jervis and
Below.
Newburgh.
Below Newburgh.
Yes, it's very low, and they closed the schools in the middle school and the high. They closed the libraries in the middle school and the high school, so the students have no library service. So, this is where they go.
So they really there's no library within the building?
There's a library. There's no librarians.
There's
and there's
no
no way to
staff.
access any of it. Yes, in the
Well,
middle
once the
school. And the
teacher
high
takes
school.
the
The high
class.
school has a library.
The high school.
I checked their website.
What?
And
No, they don't.
They split according to the website,
Okay.
Scotchtown and Intermediate share a librarian.
Mm-hmm.
Middle school has a librarian, and high school has a librarian. No,
Not that my daughter found. So
so the library is closed. in
the
high
library is
school and the middle
every
school.
time she went by there it was. So if they have a librarian, I don't know what her hours are, and if she's
Limited
splitting her
hours.
time.
She has a whole webpage.
Right, but the kids are there 6 hours a day, 8 hours a day, and the library ought to be available to them the whole time, which is what it used to be before they closed the shit with them. Each school had their own librarian. Each school had their own library.
I mean,
No, I know,
just,
I know,
I just
I
went
know.
on
I'm
their website
preaching
and
to
I'm
the
like, oh, I
choir,
thought they didn't have a
but
library.
yeah,
And
they don't.
They even
This
have
is
like,
their patched up way of trying to
they
fix
have
the
a
mistake
thing
they
for
made by
the-
closing the libraries, but they really haven't.
So that person who's listed as the librarian is a ghost
I,
person.
she's might be there, but
Probably
I
just
have no
3
idea
hours a
when.
day.
Right? Who knows how many? She doesn't have to show up
It's-
every single
It
day
says
for it to
Monday
be.
to Friday, and then on Wednesdays there's
But the-
expanded hours from 4 to 6:30.
Yeah,
I'm
we
just
have to
saying,
be
I
careful with
visited-
that.
Yeah,
I visited their website, and that's what's on their website.
that's fine. And this is
Okay.
not for the discussion on
All
Sunday.
right.
I'm just letting you
So-
know.
Well, part of the problem in general is that in New York State, they're not required to have a library.
They're not required to have a library,
So-
but when you don't, this is the effect. The kids have to have library service somewhere. That's what I turned on. They need library service somewhere, so they come here, and we can fit about 5 of them in the building.
So we have the money question. Another
Right.
question that might come up, which I hope it does, is when this passes, when the bond, because everybody will be in a kumbaya spirit,
Mm-hmm.
when do you expect to break ground? Because I'm looking at the original proposal from Paul and Megan, and we're about 4 months behind what they had laid out.
Sure.
So what can we say to the public?
No idea. I think that's a question for Paul, don't you?
So for just to be prepared for that,
Well-
Right.
you know.
The original plan had the, let's see, where's the referendum?
Which one are you looking at? I'm looking at May 21st, 2014.
I'm looking at July 14th, 2014.
Okay, so you haven't.
It had the referendum in April
Of what?
of 2015.
2015, yeah.
And then it broke ground in May of the following year. So basically,
May
about 12 months.
2016.
It's
Mhm.
from the referendum vote to breaking ground is about 12 months.
So it might be more because we're talking December. We're not going to break ground in December, so it would be March
Well, they could
2018.
break ground in December.
Yeah, but it's not really, whatever. But it's
They just
probably
can't
more
continue to
than-
break ground.
That's right.
No, I mean, those machines can go right through the
Yeah,
frozen
but
ground.
that
It's
doesn't
not-
mean it's a good idea. Yeah.
Maybe
Um,
we'll have a mild winter.
Yeah. Keep wishing.
But it'll probably be at least 12 months before they,
Right. So I think we could leave that to. We could ask Paul that question.
yeah.
He
Paul
would
will
know
be
better
there.
because none of us have ever
Right.
built a library. So.
So they have the opening of the building in October of 2017.
And that's when they were going to break ground. When 2016.
That's when you start the referendum in April. May, June, July, August, September, October. That's 8 months later. So if you just add 8 months to the October,
So that was
it's
So
around June.
2018.
It's around June, middle of 2018. We'll actually get in the building.
Okay. Okay.
Wow.
That would be nice.
Seems so long from now.
Okay. What else? Anything?
What were the questions that were on Facebook that you think we need to get ready for?
Michelle said she's gonna go through it on the treadmill tomorrow morning and send them to me, and I'll send them out.
Nice. Okay.
5 a.m.
She's crazy.
I'm just wondering, Phil, do you have any questions? Like, we've been talking about this so much and have lost objectivity on some things probably, but is there something that we're overlooking, you think? Or,
I have to be honest that I don't probably know enough
okay,
to ask intelligent questions.
okay.
I did 4 pages of the calls today,
Mm-hmm.
and the number one was the tax. There's no question about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's everybody's
That's
concern.
everybody's.
Right.
Yeah.
One guy got on the libraries are dead.
Mm.
And you put
digital
don't call.
revolution. We
Right.
don't need libraries.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, I'd like to kind of dig and then.
Okay.
So maybe after you read the Q&A, that
Yeah.
can give us some, you
Yeah.
know, feedback as, you know, fresh eyes,
Yeah.
fresh set of eyes. That would be good.
The one question I keep getting asked is what we're going to do with this building when we
Mhm.
get into the new one. If you get a new library, what happens to this building? And I know we've decided we're not going to make that decision yet, and that's pretty much what I've been telling people, that we're not going to make the decision, and that we're leaning toward, we're hoping to be able to put it back on the tax rolls. Is everybody okay with that response?
Yes.
Because I think that, I mean, the county has like 10 buildings in Goshen, and not a single one of them pays taxes. We already own 2 pieces of property. We don't pay any taxes on either of those. I think it would be a positive to sell this to a private industry and just, you know, at some point and have them pay taxes on it. You know,
Yeah, and
that'd
more
be nice.
importantly, take the profits and pay
Well,
down
right,
the
put the
bonds.
profits and put
Yeah.
it towards right, but
Right,
the
right, well,
Well, whatever on the trifold was that we would go to the public for their input. So
But-
that's not.
we will. Yeah, absolutely, but because we haven't made a decision and it's still 2.5, 3 years away.
but what are the options?
Well, I don't know, but I can
the-
imagine that.
To our taxpayers' benefit, we would sell it to reduce the debt.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything other than that, and you know, to not sell it to the highest bidder, if it comes down to that,
Yeah.
is ridiculous. So I think
Well, it
there's only
depends
one
on
thing
the
we're gonna
highest
do.
bidder. Yeah.
We're gonna sell it.
We're gonna sell it, and well, yeah, I think
Put it on
we
the,
would.
and put it
yeah.
on the tax rolls.
Well,
and that's
somebody
benefit.
who wasn't really into this thought we were going to keep both properties. And,
okay.
right. You're just going to
We'll-
put your
we'll
historical
dispel
stuff
that
there. Or I'm like, no, we're not.
Another thing that I saw somebody write on Facebook is with this building, they question if this building would have to be put up to ADA code in order to sell it.
No, because
No,
ADA. Well, this
don't
is something I
really know.
intended to discuss on Sunday, and I'm sure Paul will cover it too. The code for a public building is completely different from a private building, so it doesn't matter, and we don't have to bring it up to any code.
No,
You can
we
sell a
don't.
building as is.
Yeah,
you know, it
that's
doesn't
what I
matter.
thought.
No, and that's actually ridiculous. Things- What a stupid question. Don't you want to type
Yeah,
that
huh?
sometimes?
Yeah.
I know, really. What's the matter with you? You vote? I don't think that'll go over.
Buying the post office.
Right, it's like,
Oh,
no,
the
there's
county
no,
building.
yeah, right, exactly. No, you don't have to, we don't have to do anything to it
Yeah.
to sell it. You know, I mean, we're keeping it nice so we can
Yeah.
get as much money for it as we can, but whoever would buy it would renovate it anyway.
Yeah.
And bring it up to whatever code for a private building, you know,
Mhm.
because hopefully that's who we sell it to. Carol, you wanted to say something?
Is there plans to address Plan B? Like, what happens if this does get voted down? Is that,
And we all spend the evening in Mulaney's and then I don't know what we're gonna do.
well,
I don't know, because
But
there really
like-
is no, I don't,
but if, like, do we address this then at the unveiling? Like, if this is voted no, then we remain in this building at the
until the
mercy
state
of.
shuts us down. Yeah.
There's a very real possibility that the
I
library
don't think
would-
we should focus on it, but I intended to bring up the fact that we do have to ask the state in order to stay open every year.
Yeah.
You know, and that was part of the impetus for doing this in the first place. So I would rather not focus on this thing
Yeah.
failing.
Mhm.
There's
And-
only going to be one outcome.
That's how I feel.
Right.
That's how I feel.
Right. I don't expect we're going to, and actually when you do look at Facebook, considering how easy it is to be nasty on the internet, we're getting an enormous amount of positive feedback.
We
about
are.
this.
We are.
Yeah, and a lot of, yes, it really is an enormous amount of support, and I don't even know half these people, which
Right.
makes it even better. So it's not like my friends are all coming on there going, the
Yeah,
library's
right.
great. Yeah, no, it's a lot of people I don't even know who are
Yeah.
very supportive and like, no, it's overdue, we need a library. Yeah, so I'm not
Well,
terribly worried
decide.
about this. I just expect there will be a lot of grumbling. You know, the usual suspects are going to give us a hard time, but I really don't think this is going to be a bad thing. Okay.
I think we're taking the right track.
I think we are too, and I think we've been very responsible and very thoughtful. And
One of
it's a
the u-
beautiful building, so I think it should go over.
One of the usual suspects, who will remain unnamed with the camera, actually stopped by and just to my delight actually was saying that, didn't say which way he was going to go, but said we have a very good chance this time around. The sources said, and also said, gave me advice. I overheard him say to Jack, make sure Matt gets the numbers down so you have answers for that.
Mhm.
That's one thing they're gonna
Yeah,
connect
that's
you
what
with. And the
everybody's
other
after.
thing, make sure people know that you have this treasure trove of historical stuff that will then be on display. This is
Oh,
a
yeah,
guy
that's a
that
good point.
so, you know, he's
That
looking
is
for
a good
ways to
point.
help us out. You see, that's going to make a lot of people happy.
Mhm.
They realize that you're going to be able to have this historical society back in operation again.
You know, if you get that question, or you get a chance to answer, you should mention that we have 10,000 artifacts.
Oh, wow.
10,000. Now, of course, some of them are postcards.
But some of them
That's,
are
like, that's like the
old postcards,
95,000
they're interesting.
digital items we
We
have
have
too.
10,000 artifacts. And
Rand's
at
Canyon.
any given moment in time, we probably can't
We probably put about 20 of them on
display
display.
about more than 50 or something.
Yeah,
You
right.
know,
And we have
each
things
book
out to
is considered
loan.
an artifact. So.
Right. We have
So
things
for the
out on
next
loan.
30 years, there will be a new exhibit
Every month.
day,
Right. See that?
every
But you know,
day,
a lot
about
of that
postcard a
doesn't
day.
matter though, because a lot of the libraries are all going digital. That'll all be digital.
according to the
That's
New York
not
Times.
Yeah.
And
Not
actually,
according to
they're-
the New York Times.
Right, not
People-
according to the New York Times. The
E-books
novelty
are
has worn off.
peaking and people are going back to regular
Yeah,
good
bookstores,
old-fashioned
Yeah.
books.
small bookstores are actually increasing now. The numbers are going up rather than down.
Yep.
You can't digitalize.
But they want these
Yeah.
people.
But nobody wants to hold an old postcard. Why?
What?
Who wants to hold an old postcard? Who wants to hold
bought
any
one.
of the historical
That's
books
right.
that we have?
We got what's his
No.
name?
Me, I
Sword.
just bought one.
We'll whack them up the. Okay. Anything else about the new building? Have we exhausted this? Oh, that's so funny. Okay, so we just. All right, now we don't have any like fiscal resources. Community resources is all this stuff too.
It's a work session. So.
What's that, Jim?
It's a work session.
Yeah, we don't have to stress too much about this. Now, the fiscal advisor's marketing contract ratification. What do you want to do about that?
That's the contract that was necessary for us to have these numbers delivered to us. The one big thing you need to know about this contract is that it's $11,000, but we only pay it if
If it
it
passes.
passes. So it was signed off on by the president. We had to do it to get this done, but you guys now have to
Ratify it.
ratify it.
But we pay this out of our regular budget. This doesn't get paid out of.
No, we'll have to, right, and it will
Okay.
have to be reimbursed.
Okay.
Right.
What
So
is it
make
for?
the friends
This was
help with
for-
this or something.
For just
No,
doing that
the work-
spreadsheet.
I know,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
I know, it's absolutely insane.
I don't know whether they're, well, it's a bit of a, it's, sort of the person that was working with her mother happened to pass away, and it was unexpected, entirely unexpected. She had an accident, so it just made, a little
Everything
difficult going back and forth. But I believe, since their name is Fiscal Advisors and Marketers Inc., that they may help us with some of that. I'll have to call tomorrow. I haven't spoken to her since last week. The funeral was last week, but I'll
Right.
put a call in. I believe that's part of what they do. I can't say for sure.
We'll find
but
out what they're getting for our 11,000.
Right.
Yeah, right. One of them better show up on
Yeah.
Sunday.
So do you want a motion to
Yeah,
approve the
how do you want me to do this?
So he made a motion to
I'll make a
accept
motion
the
to
Oh,
accept
okay.
the contract.
That's it, there's nothing to read?
I
Okay,
don't think so.
all right. So anybody wanna second that motion to accept the contract? Thank you. Emily, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this passes. Everybody said yes.
Um,
We're all really excited about this. And the school district library contract discussion.
Did everyone print one out? Would anyone?
Oh, yeah, that's it.
This is the contract. Richard's got it. We got it. Okay.
Yeah, I just need to read that out.
Thank you.
Oh, you don't have, I didn't.
I think what we just need to discuss the piece on top,
You want that?
which is the email from Ben. He called today. Just look it over.
Oh,
There
I did read those.
there are a number of
I didn't print that. I printed the contract, but not that sure. I'm sorry.
here.
Okay,
May I
thanks.
have one?
Sure.
Oh,
Do you have this?
No, I printed out
Yeah,
the
sure.
same thing as Jim.
I think part of what we should do too on Sunday is get everyone hot to go to the school board meeting and watch this historic vote.
That's right. It's the following day.
It's the following day, yes.
A week from today.
A week from today is the school board meeting that's supposed
That's
to
right.
make the bond official.
So Ben
And
called
people
today,
can't vote no if there's no referendum.
and he's looking for board.
Sick all those people on the.
I guess, your opinion about which way you want to go with a couple of these things. I mean, I mentioned that you came back to me that your opinion was that the amendments he'd like to make, he should go ahead and try to.
Yeah, I
But
thought so too.
we're not going to get into a legal wrangle about it if he gets a lot of pushback. Most of the things are fairly.
They're benign?
I mean, if you look through it, it's
Yeah.
his biggest problem was that if you look at the name of the contract, library financing and tax compliance agreement, there are a number of sections that have nothing to do with either of those two things.
Right,
You have to take
So-
care of your building, you have to,
Yeah.
things that,
yeah, which
so
we
he'd
would
like
do
to have those removed.
because they're condescending and annoying?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's
Um,
really what bothers me about this whole thing. Yeah, I agree with them, but I don't wanna, I would say yes, I go ahead and try, but I don't want it to stop them from going ahead and,
Right.
yeah, if it's going to become the, excuse they use to not put our bond in place, I don't want that to be the thing either.
Would these, if left, then put us at a disadvantage?
Well, like look at this first one he mentions is the, where it mentions, one could take offense at the first one above. Okay, it says here, my view is that the provisions are unrelated to financing and tax compliance and overreach the school district's actual interests should be deleted. Such provisions provide the school district or anybody with an opportunity to falsely claim that the library is in breach of the
Yeah.
agreement.
That's not.
Now, is that is that something only a lawyer would worry about, or is
No,
that something,
no,
so he's saying if he
that's
can have it
actually-
removed,
Then he
have it
should.
taken out.
Yeah, that kind of thing is,
Um,
but
no-
the thing is too, could it actually be held up as, because if they claim something somewhere down the line, they'd have to go to court with us and then would we be able to defend against it?
Mhm.
Because it was a stupid thing that shouldn't have been in there in the first place.
Yeah, but if they're not gonna remove it, we don't want the whole thing to.
Right, we don't
come
want
to
the
a
whole
halt.
thing to come crashing
So
down,
ask-
right.
But there was one thing in there that when I was reading the contract that, and I'm not sure he talks about it here. But they talk about when we send out the tax bill, when we announce our budget
Mhm.
each year, we have to include up for the, the implication is that up for the vote is we annually have to approve the amount
No,
of
we
the
don't,
bond.
we don't,
It's, yes, that should be deleted, I think.
that should be deleted,
Because
that's
that would be in the
incorrect.
original, that's what they're voting on.
Right.
So that
Yeah,
shouldn't
that-
have
there
to
was
be
a separate-
renewed every,
It is separate, yeah.
There was a separate,
yeah, he has
Yeah.
that as deleted in there, I saw that.
Yeah, they deleted that, right?
no, that's his
Well,
request.
his request.
That's his
They have
request.
not, right, these are all, so far, these are just the requests from our side now. So,
But Tom Myers is the one that says,
actually, it's in this top, the last
The bottom is still
That-
goes over to the next
right,
page.
review
yeah.
carefully section 5.6. Note my comments and requests. In this regard, note that the increase in the tax levy necessary to pay the debt services applied to the library's tax levy cap. Therefore, in the first year that the library's annual budget reflects the amount to be raised by taxes to pay debt service, the library board must vote to exceed the tax levy cap. This requires a 60% vote of the board.
Yeah, that's why we're having a separate
Well, it's
referendum.
entirely incorrect. The tax
It
levy's
is.
got nothing to do with capital projects.
Right, it
Should
has
this-
to be- yeah, right, exactly.
Should this discussion be an executive session?
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
I'm not so sure that it needs
I
to
don't-
be.
Well, this is
Yeah.
negotiation of sorts.
Hmm.
I don't know.
No.
Just thinking.
Yeah,
No,
maybe
well-
you're right.
Okay.
Could be.
Wanna move
Absolutely
it,
could
move
be.
it to?
All right, so you want to do that? We'll move this to executive session and unplug the mic.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's
Didn't
okay.
no, I didn't even occur to me that this was.
Yeah,
gonna
just
get
while
that
I'm getting him,
involved.
just read these points over here, because this contains the meat, this first 2 pages here, what he wants you guys to agree on tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think as with any carefully drafted contract, the school district lawyers or on demand of the school district, the school board has injected stuff that shouldn't be in there or that don't need to be
They'll
in there.
see if they can get away
That yeah, exactly. Like the
Yeah.
more restricted they can be, and we don't catch it, the better it is for them. You know. So
with it.
I mean, and that's not just that's
Oh.
cynicism, but that's really
I'll wait till
the way a lot of things go
executive
these
session.
days. So, you know, I think anything that we can strike out of here, and they go, oh, okay, you
All right.
So you want motion to move to executive session?
Yes,
I
let's
so
do
move.
that. Thank you. May I have a second, Norma?
Oh, very, yes.
Okay, but
Dave-
the camera's still rolling, so
Yeah,
we
Dave.
can't, so David has to
David's
come in and
gonna
shut
do it.
everything down.
Entered executive at 8:40.
8:42.
And that was Norma,
It was Jim and Norma.
thank you.
Would you reach over and
All in
unplug the
favor?
mic, please? Yes.
Thank